Ooh, pretty little boxes all in a row. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is vlog number 118 for June the 3rd, 2019. And I hope everybody had a good week and a good weekend. And we kind of had a really interesting weekend as well, but we'll come to that in a moment. It has to do with our live production, and some of you already know what I'm going to say about that. But let's move on to projects. So I'm still working on my pineapple quilt. I have my second class this afternoon, and it's coming along quite nicely. You saw the squares last week, so I'm not going to show them to you again because they are just the squares, the blocks. And I've got 11 blocks done, and I need 20, so I'm getting there. It's a fairly easy pattern to follow, and the end result I think is going to be very nice. So moving on, I did finish my framed wallet class. Now this was scheduled for 3 classes. I've done it in 2, so I don't need to go this coming week. There were frustrations with this little project, but the end result actually did turn out pretty good. So here it is. It's a lady's framed wallet. You can see here it's got a nice bar, pewter sort of finish onto this. And you open this up. This was a bit of a trick to get that in there. Then I found out afterwards there's actually a special tool for punching the hole in the fabric to line up with this frame. And then inside what you have is 2 pockets for, I guess, bills or whatever. You have a zippered pouch on this side, and you have a credit card holder in here. It may be a little hard to see, but there's I think 6 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's 8 slots actually in this. So that turned out, I think, pretty nice. It's quilted. Hard to see because I used a light colored thread so it would blend in with the other greens that are there, but that's in there. I ran into a problem when I did this. When I assembled it, it's all done in the hoop. Okay, that's for those of you that have machines that embroider, you know what I'm talking about, in the hoop. It didn't line up properly. I got very frustrated. You could see my stitches on the outside of it, so I just redid that piece of it. Will I make another one of these? Excuse me, clear my throat. Maybe down the road. Now that I've done it once, I kind of know what the ins and outs are. Do you need an embroidery machine to make this? No, you don't. And if I make another one in the future, I may or may not use the actual embroidery machine for it. Or I might use parts of the program, like for putting that internal zipper in. It does make that easy in terms of lining it up. I got the hiccups, sorry. Don't know what's wrong with me today. Anyways, so it would make a nice gift, I'm sure. So anyways, it's done, and I'm glad. It's kind of like that Sydney bag I made some time back. Might be a one-off. In fact, I think I'll put this inside the Sydney bag, so the 2 projects are together. Okay. I don't know, it's something in my throat today. Weird. I was fine until I started doing this. Okay. All right, get a grip. Okay, so I'm also working on, or I have finished, now this could be a table runner, this could be a wall hanging. Stand back a bit so you can see it. This is sort of semi my own design. And what I mean by that is I did not use a pattern. I did use a pattern for the maple leaf in the center square, the stylized maple leaf. It actually comes from a design that's used in the Quilts of Valor. This fabric is actually from the 150th anniversary of our country. They made special fabric, but that was, what, 2 years ago now that we had that, 2017. I'll show you the back too. It's all quilted. Simple quilting, walking foot quilting. Don't know if you can see that. But it's done, and I like it. I think it turned out very nice. And I might go further and make, if it's going to be a table runner, I might make some matching placemats for it. I don't know. I've actually made this as a possibility of it being a gift. We might get invited on July the 1st weekend to an event July the 1st weekend. For those of you that are international, that is Canada Day for us. And You know, it's sort of like the Americans' 4th of July. It's our 1st of July here in Canada. And there was talk that we might get an invitation to a Canada Day party. And if so, I've got a host or hostess gift already made up. If we don't get invited, then this might just become something for us. Either way, a win-win, I guess. Okay. What else? Well, this weekend I did an art journaling class, my monthly one. Now we're finished for the season sort of thing. We don't do one in July and August because everybody's away at their cottage or, you know, doing summer things. So we'll pick it back up in September. But of course, my ladies were doing their ATCs as they always do every month. And I've got to find a new bulletin board. Mine are filled with the ATCs and they're gorgeous. I do have one bulletin board. I'm looking over just past you. I have a big bulletin board over there that has a lot of large tags on it that I have made, and I think I might just rearrange some of those and I'll make some space for more of these. But here they are. This one was by Pat. The theme was travel. This one's also by Pat. There's a couple of months worth here because we didn't have an official art journaling class in May because we were at the crop that our local store, Class Act, put on. So the ladies still exchanged them at the crop, and some of them weren't at the crop, so they got double. And that's by Pat as well, and it's ephemera is the theme. Another travel theme. This is by Kristen. Get it the right way up. This is by Darla. It's the ephemera theme. Another travel theme by Darla. This is by Gina. You can tell it's travel theme. And Joanne. And Kristen. I'm not sure what the theme was for this because she didn't write it on the back. It may just be ephemera. I'm not sure. Another travel one by Anne. And this is a fun little one in travel, and this is by Caroline. So yeah, they're really nice. As I said, I don't make them. They give them to me though, which is really nice of them because I love them. I just don't like making them that much. I don't know why. I just don't. Okay, so moving on. YouTube channel of the week's a little quirky, a little fun, a little mesmerizing, I find as well. So watch this. This week's YouTube channel is Jelle's Marble Runs. This is a quirky little site where this particular individual builds very elaborate tracks for marbles and races them. Now, the thing that makes this really unique, besides the fact that you're watching somebody race marbles and the construction of these very elaborate marble runs, is that he does this like an Olympic style competition. He has scoreboard for different teams. The announcer sounds very professional. I don't know if it's the person who makes this YouTube channel himself or someone else, but it's very, very professional. It's kind of addictive because I'm sure as kids, or at least for me as a kid, I used to play with marbles all the time, and I used to dig in dirt, little troughs and tracks and things for them to race down. So this is sort of the adult version of this idea. So if you want to see something that's a little bit different, a little bit silly, but at the same time very addictive, then check out Jelle's Marble Runs. So that YouTube channel takes me back to my life as a kid. I used to love marbles when I was a kid. And we actually used to dig holes and troughs and things in dirt hills and race our marbles. So this is just a little bit more high-tech, more modern version of something I used to do 50 some odd years ago. Okay, so I have that site listed in the notes below. You will also find the book of the week is listed in the notes below, and you're going to find Stephen and Walter almost live listed below. Why do I say almost live? Well, yesterday we were all prepared. As you know, we did not do a Stephen and Walter live the week before because we had been invited to a birthday barbecue and it interfered with our time as well, so we didn't bother. And we have been trying to do something, or we want to do something a little different with Stephen and Walter Live, because quite frankly, it's starting to bore us. And if it's boring us, it must be boring the people who tune in every week. I mean, essentially, Stephen and Walter Live started out as, it was my idea that Walter and I should do something together on YouTube and just talk about things and hopefully engage other people in the conversation. And we have done that. And we have had some people do, interchange, but we're not getting a lot of back and forth, and mainly because we deal with very safe topics. We are not very controversial people, at least I don't think we are. The things we talk about are kind of everyday experiences and things like that. It's a pleasant chat, in other words. Well, after a while, you just get tired of pleasantries. I'm not saying that we want to flip over and become two grumpy old men. We're already that. But we want to do something that people would feel that they have an opinion on and would like to express that opinion. Of course, done in a civilized manner, not reduced to swearing and cursing and all that kind of thing. So we were prepared to do that yesterday. We were doing it 1 hour later than we usually do because I had the art journal class and I didn't get home in time to do it at 4, so we're doing it at 5. We were going to do it with the new setup that I have in my sewing room. And if you've watched the last couple of Idiot Quilters, you know what I'm talking about. I have a couple of cameras now. I've been able to switch between the two. I did experiment with using that system to go live on internet because, we've had some problems with freeze-ups because we do them with an iPad. And we don't know if it's the iPad, if it's our service provider, if it's YouTube. We have no idea. So we thought we'd try the other. Well, there's some technical problems with doing Stephen and Walter Live in the sewing room. One of them has to do with, will it connect or won't it connect? I think I have that pretty much figured out now. But the other problem is the actual physical location. The lighting is bad in the sewing room for doing something like that. I mean, we have big shiny marks. You see my head right here and the light is shining, okay? Makeup. Also, that room isn't set up for two people to be sitting down and discussing things together. It's just not right. Now, we could move all the equipment out of there temporarily and set it up in a different location, set it back up in the kitchen where we usually do it or in our rec room. But then your setup time becomes a little bit, horrendous because you've got wires and you're using a computer as opposed to an iPad, which is bigger, more bulky. It does present a lot of technical issues. What would be ideal is if I had an actual studio, or if I set this area up that I'm in now, where I'm doing my vlog, my craft room, as more of a studio with everything in permanent positions, maybe I could do that. I even went out and bought a new computer just for that new system I've established, because the old computers just didn't have the processing speed to handle doing a live. I mean, I didn't spend a lot on a new computer because I've got a lot of computers already, but I just needed something a little faster. So I think I dropped about $500 on a new computer, and that has helped a little bit. But anyways, yesterday we thought we would try doing the broadcast using our iPhone. Because the iPhone, believe it or not, our iPhones we have iPhone 10s, we have larger memory capacity, larger storage capacity, and they have faster CPUs in them than the iPad. And I have pretty much the latest iPad that I use for these kind of things. So we thought we'd give that a try and see if that makes a difference. So we're trying to get it all hooked into YouTube. And all I see is a big circle spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. I'm going, what the heck's the matter with this? So we tried a few other things. We tried testing different things on our other devices. And lo and behold, Walter quickly went on to the internet and did some research and found out that YouTube was having some major problems across the eastern seaboard of North America, principally the northern eastern states of the United States and Ontario and Quebec for us. And we're in Ontario. Well, that was wonderful. Oh, and there were so many people that were upset about all of this too. which will lead me into what's pissing me off this week shortly. But yeah, I was PO'd about it as well, because here we're going to go live. Here we're going to, and we picked a controversial subject to talk about, and so we were going to focus on that, because that's what we want Stephen and Walter to start focusing on each week. We'll just start with a general what's been happening over the week, but then move right into a theme, and hopefully people will want to get involved. So no luck there. So I said to Walter, the heck with it then. We'll just do it as if it was live, and then I'll post it to YouTube. And that's what we did. So that's what we call it, Stephen and Walter Almost Live. Hopefully next week everything will be up and running the way it should be, and we'll continue. So if you are a regular viewer to Stephen and Walter Live, I hope you will stay with us. I hope you will involve yourself a little bit more in the conversation. And I hope it is something that you will like, you'll appreciate. And of course, as always, we're open to constructive criticism. I think I mentioned about constructive criticism on Stephen and Walter Live, and the fact that I will block people. I make no apologies for it. I've had some people who have come on, and they're obviously not regular viewers of Stephen and Walter Live or of my other vlogs, because I don't think they would do this if they were, but they just were outright nasty. They made like 1 sentence, 2 sentence comments that were hurtful, which were not constructive criticism. I can take criticism, okay? That's not a problem. Believe me, that's not a problem. I get criticized daily by everybody I know, okay? So I block people like that, and I block them from my channel. It's simple as that. If you can't be sensible, if you can't be reasonable, rational, if all you're going to do is scream at me, if all you're going to do is make blanket statements that undercut what I've been saying or doing, then yeah, you're getting blocked. It's simple as that. I mean, if somebody walked up to you on your doorstep and started calling you names or saying derogatory comments to your face, you'd shut the door in their face, wouldn't you? Well, this platform is my front door, in a sense. So I expect people to behave in a civilized manner, or I'm going to shut the door in your face. Simple as that. Okay? So anyways, Stephen and Walter Almost Live is posted. The link is posted below, and we did get into the theme of gay life, and mainly because yesterday was Durham Pride. My area is called Durham Region, and we had our annual Pride event, which neither Walter nor I went to because I was teaching a class yesterday, but we do discuss that a little bit and how we're not all that disappointed. And it's also in Ontario, pretty much. It is Pride Month, well, at least in the GTA, because Toronto's big Pride Parade is the last Sunday in June, and that one's attended by over 1 million people every year. It's the biggie. We don't go. It's just a zoo with it. We used to go when we were younger. But anyways, so you might want to tune into that and write comments if you wish. And we had a few comments already, and I appreciate those comments that people have written. And just another thing about comments before I leave this. I'm not looking for comments that pat me on the back and go, oh, good job, Steve. No, I'm not looking for that. My ego isn't so great that I need to be stroked all the time, okay? I enjoy genuine comments, okay? And if those comments involve some constructive criticism, so be it. Just write them in a civilized manner. Okay, off that topic. All right, moving on. So what is pissing me off this week? Technology. You know, I got thinking yesterday, Walter and I did both. You know, this is how much we have come to rely upon YouTube. And a lot of people have. The comments that were being written on the internet complaining about the fact that YouTube had gone down or was causing all these problems was incredible. People were writing threatening things to YouTube. Yeah. I don't know if they were trying to be funny or what. I don't think so. I think they were genuinely serious. Well, okay, part of me gets it, not threatening comments, but part of me gets it in the fact that Those of us that are YouTube content creators do this, put a lot of effort into it, some more than others, and, you know, we depend upon the technology to work when we want it to work. Now, if you think about it, we're not paying anything for that technology. At least I'm not. YouTube's free for the most part. In fact, YouTube pays me. We've talked about how you get money from YouTube as well. So, you know, YouTube owes me nothing, and I owe YouTube nothing. But it's just when our society is so technologically based, as we all are aware, that as soon as something goes wrong with that technology, we're lost. In the 1980s, there wasn't any YouTube. In the early 1980s, when I first started teaching, there weren't personal computers, basically. And we survived. There weren't cell phones. We survived. There weren't 3,000 different channels in high definition, and we survived. There weren't e-readers. We had books, and we survived. We didn't have Google. We went to the library to research, and we survived. Suddenly, we get all uptight because one piece of technology is not working perfectly right for a few hours. And my God, the world collapsed. Now, what's scary about all of this is, and there's been lots of movies with this as a theme, if suddenly all of our technology in the world just died, what would happen to us? Well, I think we would survive. It wouldn't be easy, but we are resilient as creatures in this universe, I think, and I think we would survive. But right now, one little glitch in YouTube, and you'd think the world had come to an end. And that pisses me off. It pisses me off because I felt that way too, just like everybody else. I was pissed off. And I'm pissed off at the fact that I was pissed off. You don't need technology in that way, okay? Yes, it's brought lots of great things to our life and the whole bit, but it's brought a lot of problems as well. And I think, too, there are people who suffer from stress induced by the technology. You know, like they're never more than 2 inches away from their cell phone. They have to check their email 30,000 times a day. I'm guilty of that. You know, they rely on their smartphone for everything that they do. It makes their shopping lists. It gives them research. It tells them what's on at the movies. It tells them what's coming up on Netflix. Everything. Our whole world survives around those little boxes. And when something goes down, we just don't. We have a meltdown. We have a technical meltdown, I guess. So, yeah, I'm trying to not distance myself from technology. Not at all. You can't escape technology. It is here to stay, obviously. And I do, for the most part, enjoy modern technology. But just when something doesn't work properly, just breathe. It will fix. It will be fixed. Everything will be fine. It's not the end of the world. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay, enough about that. All right, moving on. I do not have anything new to show you in terms of products, so we'll move to book reviews. Went in my stash again, and I used to do a lot of genealogy at one point in time, and I would create scrapbook-like records of things I had found out about my ancestors and things like that. And one day I came across this book. It's another book by Memory Makers, which doesn't exist anymore, and it's called The Complete Guide to Creating Heritage Scrapbooks. And it's pretty good if you're into that kind of thing, genealogy. You see, the problem with genealogy is this. Usually the person doing the genealogy is the one that's most interested in it. But when we go to share this information with other people that aren't so much interested in it, we have a whole lot of written records, and it's not the best way to present your findings unless you're giving them to another genealogist. So this book has creative ideas in how to take that information you've been researching and how to form it into a more visual presentation that people will find interesting to look at. It's using the techniques of scrapbooking, of course, but it's got lots of other ideas in here for presenting your information and keeping it in a format that future generations will understand. So it's got a lot of great ideas. If you're interested in getting this book, I went on Amazon.ca, and here's the bad news. For brand new, this book is really inflated in price. $97.54 Canadian plus $5 for shipping. So that brings it to like $102 for this book. It's a good book. It's not worth $102. However, the good news is used, they started at about $4.24. So here's one example of where getting a book used from Amazon is probably your best bet. Now again, I don't know how much it would cost for shipping it. That would depend on, they're usually third-party sellers. They don't come directly from Amazon on the used book side. They might charge $5, they might charge $10. But this book, to buy it off the shelf when it was available on the shelf, was $35.99 Canadian. Okay? So even if you picked it up and shipping was $10, that's only $15 total. That's still half the price of this book or less. So definitely check out used for this kind of thing. Okay, so that takes us to my next installment on the explosion box that I have been making over the last couple of weeks. And I think I mentioned last week that what I was going to do was the final embellishing. Well, I've put that on hold because, as you know, the kit came with 3 boxes, a white one, a black one, a craft one. And last week I showed you how I was decorating the one of the boxes. Well, I thought I would show you alternative methods for decorating the other 2 boxes. And so I've put that right here. Okay, so I've decorated one of the boxes, but now I'm thinking I will decorate the first box that I put together. Now, you know, in the other box, what I did was I waited to assemble it after I got the background papers on it. I could put the background papers on here, and in fact, I've already got them cut out, but it's a little awkward. I may still use them, but I'm thinking of giving this box a little different theme. So I'm thinking of doing this in a steampunk kind of look. So already this is in a craft, so it looks a little bit aged. So I'm going to take out my Distress Oxide inks, and this is an experiment, and I'm going to use walnut stain, peeled paint, and vintage photo. And I have a ink applicator for each one of these. That's the walnut. Which one's the walnut? That's the walnut. That's the peeled paint, and it's the vintage photo. And I'm just going to combine these colors using some of Tim Holtz's methods here, just to give this a very aged look. So I'm going to start with the walnut ink. And I'm going to put them on fairly heavy, because this is a craft cardstock and these aren't showing up all that well on it, but I'm just going to see here by just layering some of the colors what's going to happen. Now it's a little awkward to do this, but I'm not going to get too concerned about how much of this is going on and where it's going. So this is the walnut ink first. And I'm just, basically, I'm scrubbing it on. Okay, let's try the vintage.
It's a little awkward to do this. But you'll see why I'm trying to get a fairly thick layer. Of these three colors. Because what I'm going to do next involves water. And you know that the oxide inks are reactive to water, and that's what gives them that really cool oxide look. But I'm just not sure how it's going to work on craft cardstock. I'm not going to do the insides of these boxes, but I will do the edges just to crunch them up. Okay, I've got a fair amount of ink on here, so now I'm going to grab my water bottle and I'm going to spritz. And I'm just letting it soak in, and we'll see what happens here. And I'm getting some modeling. I don't know if you can see that. And I want it to be very drippy, drippy. I want it to look very weathered. Okay, I probably should have put the lid on my paint, on my inks beforehand. Okay, I'm going to hit this with the heat gun. Now this is probably going to take a while to dry. It's drying pretty quick, but it's definitely changing. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's definitely giving it an aged look. So I'll finish drying this and I'll come back in a moment. So I've got this box done, and I did add some of the papers that I had cut out before, but I aged them using the same method as I used on the sides and the inside and the outside of the box, and I tore the paper as well. And it gives it a very vintagey look, as you can see the inside. Now that's just my base papers. I haven't done any other embellishment yet. I will in one of the next segments. But I thought that was a little different thing to do than just to cover it with decorative paper. So I put together the third box in the set. Remember, it comes with craft black and white, so I put the white together, and I think I'm going to try something a little different. And if you see here, this ink, I have a little device which I have not used in ages called an e-brush. And essentially what it is, it's like a, I got my cord tangled up here, give me a second. It is like a airbrush that professional painters would use, except this one works with Sharpies, Spectrum Noir markers, all kinds of different markers with these adapters, and it essentially blows the air out through the tip. And I'll show you. I've put in a dark blue Sharpie in here right now, and let's turn it on. It has 3 settings, it's a little loud, but you can see I can spray paint. So my idea here is to spray paint this box, and I'm just going to go all over it and not worry about where my color is or how much of it. I'm going to use different colors. And so I'm getting a bit of a speckled effect. And we'll do the inside as well. Now you get more spray the longer you hold it in one spot. And because Sharpies are alcohol-based or solvent-based, I don't have to worry about if I put any wet medium on this, of any of this running. Let's do the lid. Now you do have to be careful about overspray. That's why I have the big sheet of newsprint down here. And I'm not going to throw that newsprint page away, because I could use it for something else later on. Okay, so let's take out the blue Sharpie and let's add another color. Let's go for a little lighter blue. See how this works. Okay, this one isn't spraying anything. Sometimes you have to adjust the pan. There we go. So just do a little finer adjustment. Okay, let's carry on. Sometimes your markers in these can be very temperamental, like this one's being. I'm not getting as much as I did with the blue. But again, as I said, sometimes the markers are a little temperamental. Okay, I think I'll try a little different one. See if I can get one in this color spectrum. That Sharpie may have been a little dried out, so let's just see. Oops. There's a little bit coming out in this one. I get it really close. I am getting some, but I'm not getting a lot out of this one. But I'm just going to yeah, it is coming out. It's very fine. kind of fun to do this. Now, whether or not you can get one of these anymore, I don't know. I've had this for quite a few years now. It was not a cheap toy. I think it was probably about $100. Plus, you buy all these adapters that hold the pens, and they can start to run you into, I think they're maybe $15 a piece or something like that. It does come with one, I think, but I'm not sure what that one holds. But it's a great way to use your markers. And there's lots of other possibilities too, like you could do stenciling work. Ooh, stenciling work. Now there's an idea for this. I might do that after I get more color on here. Now, as I said, some of the markers are juicier than others, so they work a little better. This color that I'm using right now is coming out, but it's very fine. Now, you might wonder, should you be wearing a face mask for this? There's really no odor. And it's a fairly concentrated stream, so I think you're okay. But you might want to be less daring than me. And you might want to wear a mask when you're doing something like this. So let's switch colors again. It's that little pink. See how this one works. Oh yeah, this one comes out really good. Okay. Well, it was coming out really good. Now this one is a little smelly. So I guess even though they're all Sharpies, different ones maybe have a little bit more stronger smell than others. Also, I noticed it's where to aim it. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've used this. I forgot the little quirks about it. Okay, let's change colors. Let's add a little orange and see how this works. Too good. No, this one's giving me trouble. Let's try yellow. I'm getting a little bit of this. So you build up layers of color until you get a look you want. Okay, so I'm going to continue building color, and then I'll be back and show you the final result. So this is what I've got now, spraying some of the color on this, and you can see when it's closed up, it's going to make a very attractive little background, very hippy-dippy sort of thing. And now I've got the lid, so I'm going to try a little experiment. I've got this stencil, and I've got a black Sharpie, and I'm going to try to stencil this shape on here. So, wish me luck. Okay, let's see what we got. Whoa, cool. Cool. I think I'm going to do that around the outside of this box. Now, the tricky part's going to be, how do I get it? Okay, I'm going to try this and see how this works. Looks good. Yep, that looks pretty good. Let's just finish this section off. Yeah, we gotta do this section, so I better prop it up. that looks very cool. Now, do I want to do the inside, or do I want to leave the inside blank? Maybe I'll just do a little in the inside. I'll come back. Okay, so there we have it. This one is now done, and I think it looks really quite cute. Of course, I'm not finished. This is just the basics of the embellishments. So here are my 3 boxes now. Remember, I got these all out of one kit, and I've done them in 3 different ways. So the next segment, I'm going to get into the finer embellishment of this and maybe put a couple of surprises on the inside as well. And if you're interested in what I'm using, as I said, it's called the eBrush, and you can do a search online for it. I don't know if you'll find it on Amazon or not. As I said, I bought this quite a few years ago, and it was relatively expensive. It works okay. It's not professional level, but it's kind of different. And I haven't used it in a long time, so I thought I'd get it out and use it. Okay.
Okay, so next week we'll get to the final embellishment of each of those boxes. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those yet, but I'll figure it out by next week. Okay, so events in the past week. Update on my mother, she's doing fine. She was basically throwing up at one point. So she says that she just couldn't keep the food down. It was the food. Everybody was sick in the nursing home. No, only my mother was sick. I did some investigation, and as I've said before, I can't say enough about how great the staff are at her nursing home. They are, and they keep copious notes about each one of the residents. So I went and said, okay, my mother's throwing up. What's going on? He said, no, she's not. Yes, she did throw up one day after dinner or something like that, but no, she's not throwing up. And I said, well, she's been in bed for 3 days. No, she hasn't been in bed for 3 days. No, she was up and about yesterday. In fact, we try to get her up all the time, and she's being a little stubborn about that. I said, yes, I know my mother can be stubborn. Stubborn, by the way, is a code word for bitchy. Okay? So when I say my mother's being stubborn, I mean my mother's being the B word. Okay? So we had a discussion, this staff in the whole bit, myself, and I went in and did a little pep talk with my mother about the need for her to be up and about because this is good for her overall health. She needs to eat. Like, I was afraid, this is psychological. I know this is. There's nothing physically wrong with my mother. She is, luckily, healthy as a horse. Okay? When she's sick, it's because she brings it on herself. It's psychological. And I think I've mentioned before that I think my mother has a touch of, if you can have a touch, of anorexia or bulimia. Always has. My father used to say that. Didn't believe my father. Should have believed my father. He knew best. But anyways, I had a little pep talk with her and told her, Mom, here's the problem. If you stop eating because you're afraid you're going to throw up, you're going to get dehydrated. They're going to send you to the hospital. They're going to hook you up to an intravenous to get you hydrated again. And let's think about the 4.5 months when you were in the hospital. How'd that go? Well, and this one just about killed me. She says, well, I was thinking about that and thinking, she's saying that she liked it there. She didn't like it there. I said to her, Mom, you are in the best place you possibly could be in right now. You go back to the hospital. You might not even get a room with our healthcare system the way it is these days. You could be in the hallway for several days. Yes, you'll be in bed. People will wait on you. But think about it. You hated the hospital food. You hate it that the nurses didn't give you 24/7 attention and never leave your side. Like, think about that, Mom. Here, their priority is you. They make sure that you're up and about. They're there to assist you when you need to go to the washroom. They take you down to your meals. Someone else is cooking your meals. And the meals here are much better. Yes, the meals, it's still institutionalized food, okay? But it's still better. Plus there's entertainment. all this other stuff. I said, you're in the best place you possibly could be in. Well, I suppose. Okay, what are you going to do? I'm knocking my head against the wall. It's her life after all. She can live it whatever way she wants. But I'm just telling her, I'm giving her a reality check every now and then. And so anyways, the next day when I called her, I said, okay, well, I'll call you the next day to see how you're feeling. Oh, she was up and she was about. She was fine. Everything was rosy. She's going down for her meals and the whole bit. I did ask them about her. She is on an antidepressant, a mild one, I guess. I've never been on one, so I'm assuming it's mild. And I asked them if she was still on that antidepressant or if they'd taken her off. And they said, no, she was still on it. And I says, maybe the nurse practitioner could take a look at this, revisit this and see, because maybe she needs to have that dosage altered. And I'm thinking up, you know what I mean? A little higher, doesn't hurt. And so they said they would look into it. And then they called me and said, yes, they did take a look at that, and they did, and they upped it a little bit. So we'll see. We're going over there tomorrow, as we usually do, and we'll check it out and see if this is having any effect. Now, before anybody thinks that I'm doing things behind my mother's back, I want you to be assured I do not do anything behind my mother's back. I am upfront and honest with my mother every step of the way. Any actions I take, I tell her about. And so I told her I'd discuss this with the staff. I told her what the staff told me. I don't hold back. Okay, and I mentioned the whole thing about her antidepressant drug and about upping it and the whole bit. So she knows all this stuff. I mean, it's her life. I have nothing to hide from my mother, okay, especially when it comes to her well-being. And I do all of these things for her. I'm her advocate. And sometimes you can be someone's best friend and they still cause you a lot of grief. And that's sort of the situation I'm in now. So anyways, I'm waiting for a call today from a denturist. I think that's how you say it. Someone who makes dentures anyways, about the possibility of my mother getting a full set of dentures, which is going to be pricey for one thing. The other thing I'm a little concerned about is the trauma of what they might have to do to fit her with dentures. So that I'm a little concerned about. But again, I'm consulting my mother, and my mother gets to make all the final decisions because she's perfectly sane. She's able to do that. And yeah, I mean, legally, I can't. Okay, I only have power of attorney, which means I just look after her finances. She can make all the decisions about her life, and she gets the final say in everything. So we'll see how that all goes. All right, that's my mother. We went to a fundraiser for Pride Durham. That's what they call our local gay, our Pride parade thing. So they had a fundraiser in the middle of the week at a pub in a town nearby. I went to it. They had a little bit of a drag show. They had a raffle. I don't really know how much, it wasn't that much of a fundraiser in terms of them getting money back, because we went to this pub and I was speaking to one of the organizers and I said, so I'm assuming that the pub is donating back a certain portion of the money from the food that we ordered? And he said, no, they gave them the venue free. Well, it's a Wednesday night and it's a pub. I don't know how busy they are on a Wednesday night. So that was probably not a biggie for this place. They had a DJ. They had 3 drag queens performing. I'm not sure if they had to pay the DJ. I'm going to say that possibly the DJ donated his services for the evening. It was not a very long evening. It started at 7, it ended at 10, so 3 hours. And the 3 drag queens probably similar too. They probably donated their services, their show, to the cause. So given that, the only thing they made money on that night was the raffle, and they had some kind of alcohol in a barrel. Well, it wasn't a barrel, it was a little bucket. I think there was a bottle of like vodka or gin or something, and 3 or 4 craft beers in there. Tickets were 1 for $3, 2 for $5. I bought 4 tickets on that. There weren't a lot of people at this fundraiser. I'd say there was probably, well, okay, let's say there were 50 people there. Okay, let's just say. There was no admission charge for it. As I said, they didn't get any money back from the food. So the only thing they made any money on was the raffle. So they didn't sell that many tickets, I don't think. So really, why bother? Not what I was expecting. It was a good time, but it wasn't what I was expecting. It's a fundraiser. Well, whatever. I guess they know what they're doing. And then, of course, I taught my art journal class and already talked a little bit about that, and there's nothing much more to say about that, so I won't. So what's coming up? Well, this Friday night, I'm working the bar at RMG Fridays, which is the art gallery's once a month social event that they have. And you know that I worked the bar back a few months ago, just before we went to Australia. Well, they've asked me back to do it again. And it's fun. I like doing it. And I get money. I get paid. So, mostly in tips. But, I do get a minimum hourly rate of about, our minimum wage. There's a bit of a rage too, since what Ford has done to us, our premier. But anyways, it's $14 an hour. I think I get 4 hours with that. So, that's not a lot of money. I think it's about $54 or something like that it comes out to, or maybe a little bit more than that I got last time. But I did make about $95 in tips last time. So I'm having a good time and I'm making money too. So, hey, win-win. Okay, so I think that's about it. So, this Sunday, we will attempt again Stephen and Walter Live using our new format. Don't know what our topic's going to be yet, but we'll find something. And that'll be at 4 p.m., our usual time on Sunday, and we'll see how that goes. And, I forgot one other thing. On Saturday, we're taking a long arm class. That's the big machines I've talked about before for quilting. And I'm looking forward to that because I've never used a long arm. I'm just afraid that I'm going to be bitten by the long arm, whatever they are, quilting fairy or something. And I know in my mind I would love to have a long arm. But as I said before, they cost a lot and you need space for it. And those are two factors. But I'm taking the course because then I get certified on using this long arm, and I can go down and rent the long arm machine to work on my own quilts. I think she charges about $30 an hour for it. So that's not bad. But we'll see what the ins and outs of using a long arm are this weekend, and I'll go from there. So that's the week. Hope you have a good weekend. Oh, listen, the bell is going off on my clock. So it's the clock on the wall is telling me it's time to wrap this up. So I hope you have a good week. Hope to see you on Stephen and Walter Live next Sunday. And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.